Hello people, welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It's Friday night, everyone's out enjoying their lives, but we are here to talk about Spurs versus West Ham United. Before I get started, special like on the video, subscribe to E20 Zone TV. I'm doing a giveaway soon. You could be in with a chance of winning something. And yeah, hit the notification bell so it goes a long way. To my right is Lucas, down the bottom there is Jay, and we are here to talk about West Ham versus them from N17. Lucas, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to tomorrow, certainly, but I'm excited for the boys to be back. I'm excited to see us in action, but not particularly in this type of match.
Yeah,
I'd rather see another type of match.
I agree.
Off the national break, that is.
Jay, what about yourself?
Yeah, pretty similar. I'm absolutely buzzing that the international break is officially over. We're I can't do the maths, 18, 17 hours away from like West Ham being back. But I'm pretty, I hate to be pessimistic when we're sitting here talking West Ham, right? But I'm pretty sure we're going to be begging for the international break again by the end of the game. But, you know, happy that we got Premier League football to talk about again. Happy to be here speaking to you boys once again. So, yeah, bring it on, I'd say.
Let's get into it. Match preview time. And let's talk about how we're going to get something up there. Jay, what are you expecting tomorrow?
I'm expecting 90 minutes of pain, to be honest. I'm expecting it to be really difficult. We briefly touched on it the other day, didn't we? We've got a predicament up front.
Yeah.
How do we actually counter Spurs' high line? I look back at the form they've come in with. I heard something, they won 5 on the bounce before they played Brighton, which is obviously a little bit concerning. But then I look back, right, and I've got the results they had in front of me, just to quickly look at this. They beat Coventry 2-1 away in the Cup when they were losing and got bailed out last minute. Beat Brentford, can't knock that. Then they beat Qarabag, granted with 10 men, but it's Qarabag, lads. Then they beat a 10-man Manchester United who were woeful. Then they beat Furnaceveros, and then they lost to Brighton. So you can kind of wipe the gloss off of their 5 wins in a row a little bit, I think, because they hadn't played the best of teams. They're off the back of a loss. It's Spurs, West Ham. You never know what's going to happen. Form books go out the window. Player form goes out the window.
All bets off.
Exactly. So there's the realist in me that goes, we're probably losing and we're probably conceding a few goals. But there's the West Ham fan in me that goes, oh, it is Spurs away. Aubameyang's thunderbolt, Lanzini's thunderbolt. All the memories start flooding back. So it's going to be tough, mate. We're going to need a bit of magic. But I expect it to be a difficult game.
What are you saying, Lucas?
Tomorrow, I think it's going to be an explosive affair. You got 2 managers, you got 2 sides that just do not fancy drawing. They win or lose, and I just think there's going to be lots of goals tomorrow, and it really all depends on how we approach the match, really. I mean, I've got my preference on how I would like to see us set up and go about it, but am I certain that's going to happen? Absolutely not. So, yeah, I think for a neutral, tomorrow is going to be a very exciting match, but for one side, not so much, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I hate this game. This is one game I despise with a passion. I'd rather know the result right now so I can prepare myself, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I fucking hate Tottenham. Simple as that. I'm gonna lay it down on there. I fucking despise that club from N17. I despise everything about them. I think they are one club, and I see something on Talk Sport the other day where they think they're better than what they fucking are. Do you know what I'm saying? It really drives me mental. Like Jamie O'Hara saying about it's our cup final. Well, Jamie O'Hara, we win our fucking cup finals, bruv. You know what I mean? Unlike you, when you fail in your cup finals. I think it's going to be tough, but nothing would surprise me with this club. We've played shit all season. We've had like shit games, and then we go to Spurs and win. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's a big game for Lopetegui. I think it's a big game for the club as a whole. If we can get a win at this gaff, then that sets the season up then as like where we're trying to get to. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know, mate. I don't know. What are we saying in regards of basically how would you like to set up in this game?
I want us to sit back, absorb the pressure, and counterattack. That's what I think would be best because we've shown all season so far really we still don't have an identity at all, and what we have seen I wouldn't say is exciting really. So I mean we haven't really done what I just said yet, in my opinion, so far this season, and I truly don't think there'd be a better time than now to try and go with that approach. And I do think that is the best way for us to get a result, in my opinion.
A quick follow-up question on that, Lucas, right? Because I agree with you. Like, we should be sitting back and trying to absorb some pressure. But that isn't the way that, like, we haven't seen any glimpses of us doing that. Even against City, we didn't set up to do that. Do you think there's a chance that we actually do try and sit back a bit and learn the lessons from that first half?
I would hope, because I mean, I've said it for time now. I mean, Lopetegui said it first, and I just go off what he said before the season started. He wants to play multiple ways of football, and I just think you've got to be pragmatic. And when you say that, like, and to your point, it would be a bit weird that we didn't do that against City, but we do that against Spurs. I don't know. To be fair, Spurs, they do play very gung-ho football, opposed to City. They kind of they pass you to sleep, and then they just finish with lethal venom. As Tottenham, they're at you 99%, 100 miles an hour. So it is a bit different, but that is a good question. And again, it is a bit funny.
I think you have to learn Lopetegui. I agree with what Kev says in the chat. Shout out to him. Like, tactically, he's going to have to get it right. He's going to have to get it spot on from minute 1 to minute 94, 95, whenever it is. Like, there can't be no excuses tomorrow where he's sitting there and we're in a situation where he's fucked up and we're 2-0 down within like 15, 20 minutes of the game. Do you know what I'm saying? The one thing West Ham have got to do tomorrow is be switched on from minute 1, because they're going to be up for it. Right? They're going to be all over Paqueta with all that stuff, and they are going to be like venom in that ground all over the players, big time. So we're going to have to be up for it, right? If we can get to half time and we're still in this game, we've got a fucking great chance, because the pressure will fall on Spurs eventually, in this game, and they're going to have like their fans are going to start getting rattled with them. If we can stay in the game, right, and we're in the game on the 70th minute, we can do this team up there. I'm telling you, we can, right? With Mo, Bowen, Antonio, Paqueta's going to have a big game tomorrow. He's got to have his best game in a West Ham shirt, probably for a year. And he needs to perform. That's one thing I will say. That geezer needs to perform. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel on this one. Like, I don't know about you, Lucas, but I hate this fucking game. I hate this fixture.
Yeah, you don't want to lose. And again, like I said earlier, two sides that just do not fancy ever drawing. So someone's going to get hurt in the end. I would be absolutely shocked if this ended 1-1, 2-2. I really do think there's going to be a lot of goals tomorrow, just with the way that Tottenham play and the mystery of Lopetegui with not knowing how he wants to play, haven't established an identity yet. So really all you can bank on is just pure passion from the players. And the right guys got to start tomorrow. Like, I need, personally, I got to see Antonio, Souček, some of the core, because they know exactly what it means to play in this type of match, a London derby, etc. So
what is Jay, what do you make of it in regards to the players coming back from international break? Obviously, something was said on the space last night. I make them right. We're going to have our back line is going to be all fully fit, ready to go. No internationals on our back line. Will Spurs be a bit, not shaky, but will they be a bit sort of flat at the start and then build into the game to a point?
I think it's a totally valid point, whoever made that point on a space. I think the stage of the season we're at, I don't think that kind of fatigue is going to have as big an effect as we might hope it would, because it will affect Spurs more than it would affect us, especially considering that they're playing in Europe as well, and we're not. So annoyingly, this kind of game for me comes a little bit too soon. If we were playing this game at the start of December, I'd be like, right, we can get at these. But the fatigue factor hasn't really settled on the European teams. You'll see the names that you would expect to be up the top are pretty much all doing pretty well. So expect them to start dropping off in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks. So I don't necessarily think it's a massive advantage, but to your point there, the fresh back four is definitely good. Having all four of them to work together over the course of the international break. Jared Bowen's needed a rest. This is his first time in probably a couple of years that he's had an international break and the chance to not fly away and actually just to like take a minute and just probably reflect on what's been a really, really good couple of years for him. But I remember last time, I can't remember what, maybe it was pre-Euros, pre-World Cup, whatever the one was that he didn't go to when he was really close to making the squad. And it hit him, and it hit him quite hard. It hit him hard. And I remember reading the stories of him going away and really working on like things and working on himself. Big man Colin, the Guillaume lover. What a bloke, by the way. We'll come to that.
Shout out to Colin, man.
But I hope this is his like chance to have done that again. He's another player who loves a game against Spurs. His goal in the cup a couple of years ago, I know we lost, but he absolutely turned Eric Dyer inside out and buried one on his right foot. And it was such a typical Jared Bowen goal. And I think we're going to need stuff like that. I think our defense is going to have to be switched on because we're going to do a lot of defending. Wan-Bissaka's got a big day ahead of him against Timo Werner, who is just a speed merchant. So I think there's a lot of like factors and there's a lot of things. There's going to be a lot of like side quests and side stories that are going on within the game. So to the original question, I think it's going to help, but we're going to need a lot more than just like a small advantage of the international break to win this game.
I think the mystery of international break is something we can possibly hang on to for a bit of optimism. Because I said in the space last night, like this is not my ideal match to come back to and play after an international break, but Spurs have a lot of internationals. We have a fair amount. It's almost a bit of a coin toss, but it all comes down to quality, and I do think Spurs have more quality than us. But it all depends on how sharp these guys come back to camp, when they got back. So it is a toss up for me, really.
The thing is, I just feel with this game, if you want to make a statement, Julian Lopetegui, this is the one. This is the one where you get, I'm going to say it, the common sense fucking sane fans out there. This is the one where if you win this game, you're going to get a lot of people on side and say, right, I can see where you're going now and what you're trying to do. I do worry about Lopetegui. I do. I just see a comment there. Could Lopetegui go to a back three? And do you think? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's going to try and go with a 4. What system is he going to try and play? Well, we might as well go into it, Lucas, to start in 11. Well, Jay, what system do you reckon he's playing?
I think we briefly touched on this the other day, and we'll go into it in a bit more depth now. I don't think he's got it in him to play any kind of low block. Like, we can sit here and talk about what he should do and what we'd like him to do. He's give him one thing. You use the word stubborn quite a lot, James, which is valid, totally valid. I can see why you're of that school of thought. But for me, I think he's got a certain philosophy. He wants to stick to it. One of the reasons I actually really respect Ange as Spurs' coach is because he's unapologetically himself. He's come to Tottenham. I kind of like respect the arrogance of him saying, "I win things in my second year." Granted, you've got to live up to it now, as far as Tottenham are concerned. So he's properly like made a rod for his own back there, isn't he? But I respect the fact that he's come over with a philosophy, and he will live and die by that philosophy. I like that. So you look at what Lopetegui's done so far, and he's kind of got a philosophy. Granted, it's not as extreme as Ange Postecoglou's philosophy, but he's got a philosophy and he's got a way of playing. He's stuck to his guns in terms of he wants to have a flatter midfield three. He wants to have someone who we would class as a more creative midfielder in that midfield three. He's talked about, and the players, interestingly, are talking about it's taking a little bit of time, but they're getting used to playing the Lopetegui way, which is fine. Like, I've got no problem with that. But to like bring this back to how does that affect this game? It kind of worries me a little bit because Spurs will try and beat you with through balls and try and take advantage of a high line. We will play a high line, and we're gonna bring ourselves in for a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
What I actually don't necessarily want to see us try and counterattack, because Spurs defensively are set up to deal with counterattacks. They will come really, really high up. They don't play a defensive midfielder most of the time. Whether they will tomorrow, I'm not sure. And then they'll leave their back four really high. Fullbacks will push on and support the attack. And Van de Ven will sweep up 9 times out of 10. He's an absolutely quality centre-back who has his flaws, but he's a quality centre-back. So what I'd actually like to see is us set up how we set up against Liverpool away at Anfield, that first half. I thought we were really good in that first half. It was a great away performance for that first 45. And we were unlucky not to have scored 2, actually. It's going to need some spark from somewhere, because what that relies on, if we're not going to counter-attack, is it relies on forcing Spurs back into some kind of low block at some point, us having sustained possession, us being patient. But to your point earlier, James, it relies on Lucas Paqueta having a good game. It really, really does. And we're going to need that bloke at his free-flowing best tomorrow. It's the kind of game where if we were to park all of the stuff that's going on with him and look at him historically, he's the difference maker. He's the guy that you would go, right, give him the ball and see if he can make something happen. So I'm putting a lot of hope in Lucas Paqueta having a decent game tomorrow, regardless of what's been going on. I think he will be the difference maker one way or the other, as far as
Can I ask something to both of you? And this is a question to everyone in the chat also, so get your answers in. Is he worth playing tomorrow, Paqueta, with the situation that he's currently got over his head at the minute? Because from the one side of the coin, he's a good player, but he's not playing good at the minute, and we need 11 men on the pitch who are prepared to like get stuck in this game, not 10 players and Lucas Paqueta to a point. Take it away, Lucas.
If Lopetegui doesn't think his heart's in it with the time that he's trained while being back, so I'm assuming yesterday and today, if his heart doesn't seem in it, I wouldn't play him. But if he's gone about his usual business, normal business, when he has selected him, I think he has to play. He's one of our best players, regardless of form. We all know he's been incredibly poor, but he's one of our best players on his day. And for me, he has to play if there's no signs of just not giving a shit.
I wanted to just quickly, and someone in chat, correct me if I'm wrong, did he not get suspended after his first game for Brazil and come back early, potentially? So he might have had a little bit more time. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not. I'm sure I read it somewhere.
Not only that, he got booked after 3 minutes to get suspended. So, you know, it's the bookings again, isn't it?
He don't help himself, does he? He don't help himself.
I just feel he's going to have a big game, because they're going to be all over him, Spurs. They're going to be barracking him. They're going to be abusing him. They're going to be calling him all sorts of shit, and he's going to have to be on the game. If he turns up, and something you said the other day, Jay, if he turns up and bees that player that got come off the bench on his debut for West Ham, and we get that Lucas Paqueta, we have got a top-class player in our hands. But at the minute, we haven't. We've got a man who, what you said on a video the other day, he's got like the weight of the world on his shoulders at the minute, and he's trying to play through it. And we're seeing him do it, and it's a struggle. But
it also doesn't help that there's really no one around him to pick him up as well. I agree that like he hasn't been good, but he's one of many players that haven't been good. And this match is going to take a moment of brilliance from someone. It's gonna have to be someone, because I don't see tomorrow being incredibly consistent. I think it's just going to be like we've seen almost every match so far this year, very inconsistent. One good half, one terrible half. Yeah, we're gonna need something consistent from someone in a moment of brilliance. I don't care who it is, but I think if there is going to be one, it's going to be from one of our boys that knows the magnitude of this match. They consistently play well, and that's where I think if we're going to have a chance, it's going to come from one of them.
Do you
Mhm.
know who that player is? What you've just described there, Lucas, it's Thomas Souček.
Yeah.
It's just Thomas Souček. Like if you cast your mind back to how many times has that bloke had blood pissing out of his head against Spurs? So many times that he has put his body on the line.
He
He
scored
went off.
against them a few years ago.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
went off and had his head like stapled back together. You could basically see brains pouring out of that man's head at one point, and he had his head glued back together. Come back on and finish the game with a like sock around his head. Like
Yeah.
that bloke is everything you need. Not only that, how bad are Spurs defending set pieces? They are rubbish.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that
but who is
goalkeeper.
terrible at set pieces?
That's
this
the.
season.
I know, mate.
That's
I
the
know.
problem, isn't it? So if
I
you
don't
can
think
get
I don't think we
Souček in there-
train on them. I really don't.
Yeah. It winds me up. I was having this conversation the other day, right? And I was like, I wonder how long I'd have to go away and how many videos I'd have to watch to become like a set piece coach. Because there's like there's like clubs that have a set piece coach who is just a nerd, right? Who is probably like an NFL coach style, like tactico geek that just looks at patterns and stuff. We've got to go and like Ted Lasso it and pick an NFL coach out there and make him our set piece coach, and it will work. I swear.
I'm just curious if there's a player out there that may have possibly been loaned that's one of the best in those situations who happened to score last season in this type of fixture. I don't know if there's one out there that we currently had in our ranks, but I'm sure.
Let's go for the lineup. Ariola, I think we'd all agree, goes in goal. Wan-Bissaka, Kilman, Todibo, Emerson. I think that's the back four.
Nailed on.
Then midfield. You got Alvarez, who's just come back from Mexico, USA. What do you do with the three-man midfield, gentlemen?
I think for me, if you're going to play Paqueta, to the point you had made, Lucas, you need someone in there who's going to look after him. And I think you made this point, James, is that like if Spurs are getting at him, there's a quote from maybe last season when all of this stuff was coming out, when Alvarez was like, if anyone says anything to you, I'll deal with them. And I respect that. That's the kind of things that we need amongst that centre midfield, especially in a game that's going to be hostile like this. So for me, Alvarez and Paqueta absolutely have to start. And Souček is, for me, if we're going to win this game, Souček's going to be one of the guys who is the difference maker. So that's my midfield three, to be honest.
But what do you do with Souček? Because like, I know he's a midfielder, but is he a DM or is he an advancing box-to-box, box-crashing sort of guy?
I mean, for me, I've talked about the concept before, and what we've seen since we stopped doing that silly tactic of like hoofball up to him in the number 10.
Yeah.
And once he's dropped back a little bit further, he gives you structure in midfield. He calms everything down.
Balance.
We don't get passed through like nothing. Yeah, balance 100%. And then he's able to push forward. He keeps it really simple when he gets the ball in front of the back four, which is all he needs to do. And then as we get further forward, he gets in the right areas. So I think just exactly how he'd set up against Liverpool. Let's just hope Alvarez doesn't run around like a headless chicken this time if he starts. That's how we've got starting for me.
So what we're saying then, Alvarez, Souček, Paqueta.
Flat three, probably. I would rather have Paqueta in the 10, but flat three is what I'd imagine it will be.
Right, let's go to the left side. Mohamed Kudus. How can I put this? Right, he had a good game against Ipswich Town. But I expect him to have a good game against Ipswich Town, but this is a different level. Is it right that he goes in as that left-sided attacker in this game, or do you change it around and maybe go with a bit more fluid free?
Strangely enough, I think if there is going to be a match where I don't want to say it doesn't matter because it always matters in my opinion, but if there is going to be a match where I don't mind too much that he's going to be out on the left, it's going to be this one because, as we all know, Udogie, Pedro Porro, they get as far up the pitch as our fullbacks do. With them, rightfully so, because they have the qualities and the skills to, as one of ours doesn't. But Mo should be able to exploit that. And Pedro Porro, he's an all-right defender, but one-on-one, obviously, give me Kudus all day long against him. So, again, if there's going to be a match where it's not that big of a deal if he's out on the left, I think it will be this one. So whether he's out on the right or left, I think he will have success against the fullbacks because of the way they play. Same with Bowen. I think he'll have success against Udogie. And Antonio, I think he has to play. And if he can just be vintage Antonio and just rough up Romero and Van de Ven, just keep them occupied and just tire them out, that will be absolutely huge for us.
He has got to hold the ball up tomorrow. That's one thing he has to do. If there's anything he has to do properly, it's hold the ball up and bring others into play. I think if he struggles with that, then we're going to have a problem with Antonio. Do you know what I'm saying? What are you saying, Jay, in the front three?
Yeah, I'm happy with the same front three as last game. And again, I know it's square pegs and round holes to an extent in putting Kudus on the left-hand side, but he showed signs of what we want to see from him. Like he didn't mope, he didn't cry that he's out on the left and just stand there and wait for the ball to come to him like he has done it. Like I remember Palace away, we won the game 2-0, but he was just nowhere. He just could not get into the game. And you look at what he did against Ipswich, instead of being that same bloke who just stood out on the left-hand side and waited for the ball to come to him, he tucked in, he got more involved, he tracked back, he pressed, he did all of the stuff off the ball that we need to see him doing. A quick point on Mohamed Kudus as well, right? I don't know if anyone saw this, but I saw on the cesspit that is Twitter, I saw Ghana fans starting to turn on him as well. I don't know what's happened. I assume Ghana have had a couple of bad results, but Ghana fans were in the comments after he put out a statement. He put out like his PR team or whoever runs his Twitter account put out, but there was a statement on there basically apologizing for the loss, which I think you never have to do that. Like you just have to change it on the pitch, right? But Ghana fans were in the comments turning on him, saying that he's not playing for the team. He's only playing for himself. He needs to pass the ball more. He needs to work for the team more, which I found really, really interesting. You go back to what Lopetegui's trying to change in him. And we talk about the altercation that he had at halftime against Brentford. It seems to have put a fire up him, and it seems to get him like buying into what the team is actually trying to do. So for me, it's not ideal having him on the left-hand side, but at the same time, he's tucking in more, he's getting involved more, and if he can do more of what like he did against Ipswich, I'm confident that he can have a good game against Spurs, and he can again be one of our difference makers.
I hope so. I think it's a big game for Mo. Like people were giving him a lot of stick the other week at Brentford. Right, people were telling him to fuck off. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, which is mad. Yeah. I think this is a big game for him. I do feel for him a little bit because if he don't have a good game, he's going to get stick. It's as simple as that. And is it because he's in the position or not? I don't know. I don't even want to get into that. I think Antonio has to hold the ball up tomorrow. He's going to have to be very strong against Van de Ven and Romero. I think the only way that we can get round Van de Ven is we're going to have to bring him out of position and then play fast balls over the top or down the sides for Bowen and Kudus to run onto. If we can get him out of position, and he might be fast, but he's not Usain Bolt to a point. There's going to come a time where
either bring him out or bang him out.
Or rough him up. Yeah, you're going to have to do something with him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Antonio, come on in, son.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party, Antonio. That's what I'm going to say on that. Right, let's come to predictions time, gentlemen. Jay, I'm going to let you go first on your predictions. What are you saying?
I'm going to give you my logical prediction first, which is that we get pumped. Yeah. I'll go with what I think is going to happen. I think we can see 3, maybe 4. I think they're going to be too quick up front. I think they're going to have too much for us. And I think the difference between he who shall not be named, our previous manager, and Lopetegui is our previous manager was not proud. Like he would sit back. He was the antithesis to Ange Ball. Like where Ange Ball was free flowing and attacking, it was sit back and you do whatever you want and we will hit you on the counter, and it worked perfectly. I don't think Lopetegui's that guy. I think this fixture comes too soon for us. I think we lose 3 or 4 and we maybe get 1. Now, my heart, on the other hand, is saying this is where it all clicks. This is the game we've been waiting for. Lopetegui's passion will shine through. The big players will have big performances and we win the game 2-0. That's what my heart is saying, but I probably lean more towards what my logical brain is saying.
I'll go next. I'll leave Lucas till last. You can have the final word, my good friend. I hate this game, right? It's such an hard game to predict because you just never know, right? I've seen West Ham play incredibly shit all the way up to this game and then go there and win. Then I've seen West Ham play very well and go up this game and get absolutely pumped. I I hope that West Ham can go there and put in a sort of positive performance. If we lose the game, we can accept losing as fans, yeah. But there's a way of losing. If we get absolutely hammered by this team, it ain't going to be good for Lopetegui. It'll be a fucking awful Saturday night. I don't know why, but I've got a feeling West Ham can get a draw at this game. I can't see West Ham going to Spurs right now and winning the game, but I can see them. I can see us definitely drawing with this mob, 100%. I think the first goal is massive. I think if we can get the first goal, their arseholes might fall out in this game because they're going to be they're going to have a big crowd with them, and they're going to think, right, we need to beat West Ham, and that ego that Spurs have of thinking that they're better than they actually fucking are, will start coming out and saying, oh, we've got to be beating West Ham. It's their cup final, this bollocks. So I'm going to say a draw. I don't know why. I've got a feeling West Ham can do something here. I think Bowen as captain will help the situation because he understands what it means. And having the back four strong, no international at all, they've been training on the training field for the last 10, 12 days. I think that is key to the whole thing. And if Luis Guilherme comes on and scores the winner, I'm buying that man down there, the Flares, and in in East London, we'll be having a fucking party in Custom House and Stratford and everywhere else.
Oh, lad, I've got so much love for the Luis Guilherme hype train that is building. I see people in the chat. Kev, my boy Colin, is always flying the flag for Luis Guilherme. I've got so much time for it, lads. Guilherme season is coming, is all I can say.
When that goal hits, mate, it's going to hit like crack, mate.
Oh, mate, I cannot wait. Big time. Cannot wait.
Nando's on me in January.
100%. Lucas, finally to you, mate. What are you saying?
Again, I like to consider myself a realist. I live in the moment, rarely live in the past, don't look too far into the future. But with this, again, I just going off of recent results and what I've seen so far, and then looking at Spurs, I personally just can't see it, even though I do want to hang on to the optimism and mystery of players coming back from international break. So I don't know if the betting man in me wants to go 3-2 Tottenham. I think there's going to be a lot of goals tomorrow. I really do. In America, our sports books have got the over/under for goals at 3.5, which I think is bang on. Lots of goals. But
yeah.
In my heart, in a perfect world, 2-1 last minute winner. I would love nothing more. But if I had to predict, I'm going to keep my prediction from yesterday. I'm going to go 3-2 Tottenham. I think it's going to be a banging match. I really do. But I just think Tottenham have just a bit more quality than us at the moment and identity.
Fair enough. Before we go, lads, it's 4 years. That was used 4 years ago on this very evening. 4 years to the day that West Ham played Spurs, 3-0 down, and we come back and we drew 3-3. Lucas, where was you 4 years ago, sir? Because I know exactly where I was.
Enjoying COVID in Edgewater. Yeah, what a moment. I mean, that's literally it. I wasn't in Cabo. I wasn't in Monacos or anywhere special. I was in lockdown.
I know exactly where I was. I was here. I was watching the game, and obviously I had a delay on the game, and we was 3-0 down. My phone was going mad. Every fucking Spurs fan that I know ringing me up, telling me how great they are and everything, and I was like, "You can fuck right off, yeah." And then when we scored the second goal, I was like literally praying to fucking Jesus, fucking Christ, and saying, "Please give me something so I can just like have a return fire." And when Lanzini put that ball in the top bins, mate, I screamed this gaff right down. I mean, I went out on the street. I went up to the local Chinese shop up the road. All right, I got a couple of beers and I was singing fucking David Moyes' Claret Blue Army and fucking I'm from a Blind Bubbles at fucking Heathway, mate. I was going absolutely mental, yeah. Trust me, that's one game that, looking back, is one of the best moments that was probably happened in COVID. COVID was a sad time for a lot of people.
Easy.
But, you know, that goal going in and all their all the social media going quiet, and I swear to God, I've never seen a fucking signal failure in North London like nothing like it. You know what I mean? Jay, where was you 4 years ago on this very evening?
I'll tell you exactly what I was doing. So this was when, like, you could go to a pub, but you had to sit outdoors, didn't you? You had to pre-book it.
Table,
yeah.
service.
So I'd booked a pub and was like, Sunday roast, watch the football, it'd be fine. Sat down with my pint. I must have had half of it, and we were 3-0 down. Drank my pint and went home. Because there was Spurs fans going mental. Obviously, every time a goal went in, the whole pub was like supporting Tottenham. I was living in Southwest London at the time, as I say. So, it was a real mishmash. Picked up like a pizza or something from Sainsbury's on the way home. It was like, sod this. Got home, switched the game on, and we were all over him, and the rest was history. And same as you, mate. The scenes in my living room when that Lanzini goal hits, it go off the bar and go in, like, mate. Absolutely outrageous. I'll tell you what I remember as well, going a bit further back, was the Obiang goal. I was sitting there texting my mate who was a Spurs fan, because they were obviously all over us, and I was slightly delayed, and he texts it, like, he just goes, "Oh, fuck off." I've looked up and Obiang's hit this thunderbolt so hard.
League Cup game, yeah.
Oh yeah. And mate, he's like, the ball was still rising when it hit the back of the net. So like, that was just outrageous as well. So yeah, but 4 years ago, what a moment, what a highlight. Like, I remember looking forward to every game so much, because it was like the only thing we had to look forward to.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was so special, mate. So
fake
special.
Crowd noise as well.
Oh yeah, love it. Absolutely love it.
That's the original fucking crowd noise, mate. 100%. Do you know what I'm saying? Listen, I will say one thing. When I look back at them times, I look at now, it was, I don't know why, but you always used to get up for watching West Ham. Maybe it's because I've done the YouTube for so long, it becomes a bit of a chore to a point. But back then, when I didn't even do YouTube at the time, and I was obviously following a lot of other channels and everything. And when we won that game, that would have been such a highlight. Drew that game, when we scored that goal in that game, that would have been a highlight moment. That's something that you can stay with you forever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just an unreal moment.
Yeah.
And that's it. 4 years on. Let's hope we don't have it tomorrow. Or would you accept that tomorrow? Before we go,
Yes.
Would you?
1,000%.
Rip your arm off for it.
How many people tomorrow would walk out at 3-0 down, if or not? Like, because that's the real question.
I've got a thing on this, right? Because you buy your ticket, you're entitled to go home whenever you want. Some people travel quite a distance, so there's some people who will get up on the 75th minute and go home no matter what the score is. Like, fine, that's your life. Could never be me, because I know there'll be a day when that happens, and it will be the one day that I went home, and I'll miss that screamer in the 90th minute in a big game. So I could never, even when we lost 6-0 at home to Arsenal last season, I was there until full time. I was like, I won't leave early. Unless I have to leave, I won't leave early. So yeah, would never be me. I understand it. But
I will never do that after Everton away last season, when me, Clive, and Mitch went. Never will I ever do that, because wow, that moment.
Have you ever done it though, Lucas? Even when you've been over here, have you ever walked out and gone, "No, I've had enough"?
I think I did once, but that was arguably at one of our most toxic times. That was when we lost to Palace off that Elise deflected goal.
Yeah.
And people were booing Souček walking off. I think there was a Moyes out banner then as well. I didn't walk out like 15 minutes early, but I think I did walk out like as soon as Elise scored.
Yeah, I'm a bit like Jay on that. I stay to the end, win or lose. You fucking stay to the end, don't you? Do you know what I mean? But it may be because you live locally.
Yeah,
Right.
I was going to say Upton Park was different, wasn't it? Because to get to the tube station, if you weren't out the ground before full time, you'd be queuing for a long, long time. I know there's the stop go. Like, if you're going that direction, you've got stop goes to deal with. Fortunately, I go to Stratford International. There's none of that nonsense. But yeah, Upton Park, I kind of understood it more. But here, it's just like, yeah, I could never leave early. Just could not do it. Could never be me.
Yeah, well, you know, I've got to get to this. You live in America. You have no option to walk out. Once in 5 years doesn't make you a fan. Bruv, he's up at 7:30 in the fucking morning tomorrow, mate. He is a fucking fan, right? I don't know any other fans who's going to be getting up at 7:30 in the morning to watch their club play. But that guy will.
I don't know what this guy's problem is.
It's so
I
weird.
don't know
isn't it?
who this guy is.
He loves you, mate. Yeah, me. But I tell you what, any American out there who's watching the games about 7:30 in the morning, and if we lose the game, fuck you know, that would piss me right off, mate. Trust me. So,
Good luck to him.
me and Jay appreciate a 12:30 kickoff.
This guy must be irons in disguise. Has to be.
Shout out to Irons. Right, that's enough from us. Anyway, smash a like on the video if you hate Spurs, because I fucking do. And subscribe to the channel if you want. If you don't want to, fine. It's all good. I'll be back tomorrow, 2:20. Hopefully with a positive result.
Please, boys.
It has to be a positive result tomorrow. Yeah. If we lose the game, I can accept losing. Yeah, but don't get pumped by this side because it will be a toxic environment for the whole week, especially against Spurs. Anyway, from me to you, take care of yourselves and above all else, each other. Peace.
Hype.